part of what we do at Cosench, all right, because we do a lot of other services, not just data analytic and training. Okay, you can see Cosench covers a wide range of services. Okay, apart from the training and data analytics, business analytics, project management, and website design. All right. We offer those services and also do training for those services. We are into real estate, property management. All right. And we also have the media and creativity services, professional photography and video coverage. So if you have any events and you need somebody to come and, manage that events for you and give you top-notch services, we are also there to do that for you. And just like we mentioned, being that to offer training on this web design and other areas, we also offer web design for business organizations, all right? And if you also need someone or you need consultational services, even if you want to go for an interview and you need assistance in preparation for an interview related to any IT field in general, you can always contact us and we'll walk you through it, all right? We also offer such services, so consultational services, both on data analysis, on general IT, you are highly welcome. All right, let's now go into a brief conversation proper of what a data analyst is. All right, so data analysis simply means looking at data to find useful information and make smart decisions. So what are we trying to talk about? We have you have what we call data, and data comes in various forms. All right. So your job as an analyst, regardless of whatever form that data is to be able to look into that information and get meaningful insight from it. Looking at that data, normally when people see data, it looks like a whole bunch of numbers, a whole bunch of complex, information, a whole bunch of scattered numbers within a spreadsheet or any format that it is, being it an audio file, being it a feedback form. All right. So it can cut across various areas of our life. So as an analyst, you need to have keen eyes and interest in telling story as well, because what helps you is every individual have a personal touch of creativity of their own. So that helps you as an analyst being able to, understand the perspective of somebody else, depending on the information the person is giving you, and I'm trying to make meaning of it and being able to present it in a way that somebody else that I've never seen or don't even understand anything about data will be able to now make sense of it and say, oh, this guy that said this is actually what it means, and this is what it implies, and etc. All right. So just like we said, using list of sales information to check products sold the most and all that in terms of looking at a departmental store. All right, you might have a specific product that people buy the most, and you can use the information you get about that particular product and even how people perceive that product to know if you should continue selling that product or not. All right, collecting feedback responses from customers and using the results to make service better. All right, so when you know how people feel about a particular product, you will now make a decision and say, okay, these people like this product, so I want to keep selling it, or I don't want to keep selling it. But you will not be able to make that decision unless you know the products people buy. You will not be able to know how they feel about the product unless you ask them to know how they feel about the product. Maybe you, on your own perspective, you might feel that, I love this product. But yes, Mr. John might not like it, and maybe I like the product. Now, maybe when I come to buy, I buy one. But if Mr. John wants to buy, Mr. John will buy 2 or 3. You understand? So you want definitely to have a product that Mr. John will buy more because Mr. John buy more products than me. So you're not going to be selling only a product that I will buy, because if I only come and buy one and I leave, and Mr. John will come and buy 3 products, definitely who buys 3 products will make you more profits. All right. So you have to find a balance, and you cannot get that information without interacting or getting the information from your customers. And the information is not going to come, in a direct form. The information is going to come in various forms, all right? Because you have multiple products and you have multiple customers. So you need to definitely have someone that should be able to look at that information and make sense of it, and being able to now tell you, okay, based on what I've seen, based on what Mr. John and GZ have said, I think we can now decide to maybe buy 10 of this particular product since GZ likes this, but buy 20 or 30 of these because Mr. John will definitely buy more of these, and you've created a balance. All right. It helps you to make better decision. All right. So we can also look at a typical life cycle of a data analyst. All right. And because data analysts cut across some various sectors, so you have different areas, but basically as a part of the things you need to learn, or part of the things you need to understand, because you have to do this, because the information you need to be able to make that decision, you need to be able to collect it. So you need to be able to have what we call the data collecting skills, or data, you have to have a knowledge of how to collect the data, all right? And this data comes in a raw form, and this raw form are in different formats. So you need to know how to collect them, all right? And definitely, if you are collecting that information, you need to know how to also keep that information safe, all right? Now, part of your job, when you collect information, you need to understand how to clean that information, all right? These are part of the process we are going to be looking at today, all right? It's a part of the process of data cleaning, or preparing your data, making your data look, better, and preparing it for analysis, all right? So just like I mentioned earlier, if you are collecting this information, you need to know how to store them. You need to be organized. You need to be able to put these things together. And keeping it together also means able to keep it safe. Because let me use one of the popular brands we all know. Most times you hear when Samsung and Apple, they're having issues and say the data leak and they copy this, they copy that, because somebody did not do their job properly. All right. And that is also what companies look out for. When you have a rival company that is doing better than you want to find out what they are doing. And because this is business, every business have its own skill secrets. So every big organization would definitely want to guard that and say, okay, let's try and keep our success, in a way that, we manage it and keep our own information, do our own thing, let everybody do their own thing and what works for you. All right. So if you don't guard that information, somebody else that sees you and I said, okay, this is what they are doing, I want to do it better, and you start losing customers. So you need to know how to store, organize, and protect that data. All right. Now, application of your analytical skills and techniques in different understanding patterns, understanding trends. All right. So you have different analytical techniques you have to get to that information. All right. Now you want to visualize your data after you have done those analyses, because your board of directors don't know what all those multiple number means. Let me use an example. When you come to the banking sector, you have over 1 billion accounts with different numbers. Everybody has different amounts in their account, and you want to analyze those accounts. You definitely can imagine what it's going to look like, looking at the different names of people that own an account in the bank and their different account details. And you want to make analysis to find out how well the bank is doing. All right. So you can see that information, even for the board of directors in the bank, they definitely need an analyst to help them make that information, small, make that information presentable, make that information in a more neater way, whereby when I tell them, okay, this our account shows that so and so people are doing well, so and so people are not doing well, they will understand, because they can't go through every bank account one at a time. All right. So you should be able to visualize what you have seen, what you have analyzed. You should be able to now show it and say, okay, based on what I've done, this is what this represents, this is what that represents, and this is what means. Okay. Then based on what you found, you should be able to now pass up information and say, okay, this is the decision we should make based on these findings. We can now say, okay, because we discovered this account is not doing well, let us find out what is the problem. The person is there, maybe they have problem with their businesses, they need assistance, and etc. Because if your customers are doing well, definitely the more money they are going to bring and put in the bank. Or is it that they are scared that the bank is going to eat their money or whatever? All right. So you cannot make decisions based on your finding. All right. So and data security that I mentioned, being able to store your data, then you need to be able to also protect your data. So these are part of the data life cycle, all right, of a typical data, all right, and all this life cycle, who manage all this system is a data analyst. So you see that the work of a data analyst cut across a whole lot of sectors, not just one sector. All right. So now talking about this data equation, you can see that we have two major type of data. We have the quantitative and the qualitative type of data. All right. And the quantitative type of data just deals basically with our numerical data types, like we just mentioned, sales figures, customer counts, and etc. And the qualitative is more of descriptive kind of data. Use like when you want to find out how customers feel about a particular product. They are not going to tell you that their satisfaction is 100. All right. So you can say, oh, I felt good when after eating it is sweet and all that. And sweet doesn't have a particular number attached to it. It's a descriptive data. It's also information. It's data, and it's also very, very useful. Every data, regardless of the form, very, very useful. So now you as an analyst should be able to put that information together and make sense of it and be able to present it to the board. All right. So regardless of the data type, regardless of the form, you have to think outside the box. All right. All right. So we have different strategies for data collection, just like I mentioned, and we've looked at it earlier. All right. You have surveys and questionnaires that we use. All right. You have interviews, direct interviews, one-on-one. I'm sure we are all familiar with surveys and questionnaires, so I'm sure we've all done projects one time or the other. All right, and we've also sent out surveys, and I'm sure we have seen survey forms, even online survey forms and etc. So you should have an idea of what it is. Basically, interviews, even on our screens on radio stations, you grant interviews. Sometimes some people walk up to us on the street and ask us questions about how we feel about the government or how we feel about certain things that is happening around and all that. So these are all interviews, and those information are collected for a purpose. All right. So one of the major things we should understand about data is that all the information being collected is being collected for purpose. It's not just random information, just we are just collecting it for the fun of let us just go and ask questions and collect them. All right. So at the end of the day, you have a target, you have an aim, you have where you are heading to. All right. Another very key method of data collection is observation. All right. And this is what we call the direct technique. Most times observation can apply to agriculture and even in geography. I'm sure most of you would have heard or observed when they mentioned about the glaciers and how the glaciers is breaking down and all that. It doesn't happen overnight. These are things that take time to happen. So definitely somebody would have been observing this for years, looking at the trend, looking at the size, how is it reducing and all that. So you can see how long it takes to get that information before you can even start to analyze it and make decision based on what is happening. And now be asking yourself, what is the cause or the effects, or what can you do to reverse that cause and effects? All right. So you see that it's not it's very, very easy, and it's also very, very tasking. It all depends on your perception and your approach and how you feel about it. So we have different form of observation. Just like I use the glacier, I want to believe is a very common, something common that we all could, relate to it. At the same time, in agriculture, when you are researching for new seedlings, you can plant hybrids of seeds and observe them, know the one that will grow faster, the one that is prone to insects, the one that is resistant and stuff like that. So you cannot get that information without these different seeds and, running different tests on them, even on your patients in the hospital. You can observe your patient and say, okay, how this person react to a particular drug, or how they even react to their caregivers, because sometimes the drug is not just enough. The caregiver too plays a major role. Okay, so it also helps you to now decide and say, oh, if you have certain kind of patients, let us refer a particular caregiver. This person has a magic touch. The way he talks or the way she treats them, they definitely get better, faster, and etc. And you can only learn that from observation. All right. So you see that just by waking up in the morning, your process of data collection has started, because even within your own house, there are so many things you've observed and you've made decisions on them. So data analysis doesn't necessarily start by going to work. It starts from your house. All right. So I'm trying to bring it down to something that all of us can relate to. Okay. So just like I mentioned, who is a data analyst? As far as I'm concerned, we are all data analysts. All right. Each and every one of us are all data analysts in our own small ways. All right. So data analysts collect, clean, analyze, and interpret data to make better decisions. So what am I saying when I say we are all data analysts? Just like I mentioned earlier, that just from waking up in your house, you've already started making decisions based on the data information that you have. You're already analyzing something. All right. Let's take, for example, you are planning to go to work and you maybe have a situation and they now said, okay, you need to be at the office in 30 minutes time. And you realize that maybe if you take the bus is going to take longer, and maybe you have a bike or a car and etc. It might cost you more, but you're going to get you there faster. So you now have to decide, oh, okay, maybe there's another faster means. I might take the train and I might not need to take the bus and this and etc. You are already analyzing that information. You got an information, you're analyzing it to make a better decision to help you get to work faster. Remember, you have an aim. Something happened. You thought about it, decided how to go about it, you're now making a decision to get it to work faster. All right. So on a daily basis, just by waking up, we've started analyzing data. Like I say, data comes in different forms, not just about the one you see in the Excel sheets or the general information that you get, and you have to start analyzing it. All right. So a data analyst turns raw data into useful information by finding pattern, trends, and insights. All right. So part of what helps you making your decisions is by finding pattern, trends, and insights. All right. So coming back to the basics that I just used just now, being that you woke up in the morning and you have to go to work and you are running late and you've checked options that you have to look at a pattern. Now, you already know that if you have to take a bus, you already know the pattern and when this bus comes and how the bus runs, and you can now decide and say, okay, this is not going to get me to work faster, even if it's going to be a cheaper means. Now you will look at a trend and say, well, if I have to go with a car, what if I meet traffic on the road and all that? So you are now gaining insights from those pattern and trends, and you can now make better decision and I said, okay, based on all these things, this other option, maybe using a train, because it's going to be a smoother one-way drive, and maybe in 5 minutes I've gotten there, and from here I can just walk to the office, and in the next 10 minutes I'm there, and stuff like that. So you have calculated the trend and the pattern of how the bus runs and the train runs, and you gain more insights, and you're now making your decisions based on those trend. So you can see how simple it is to make to apply your knowledge as a data analyst and to make decisions. And remember, most times when you are making the decisions for organizations, you are not making the decisions for them. You are going to be addressing the board members, and what you are going to be doing is to suggest to them based on your findings. They will now decide and say, okay, do we have enough money to fund this? Do we have enough staff to do this project? If we don't have, do we need to hire more staff? What is the cost and all that and all that and all that? So I hope we are following. I hope we are together.
Yes, we are together.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. So looking at the roles and responsibility of a data analyst, like I just mentioned, cuts across a whole lot of areas. So data collecting, data cleaning, data management, data analysis and visualization, insights, communication, collaboration, and data governance. Very important data governance. So as a data analyst, you need to know how to collect the data, the information, whether through survey, whether through questionnaires, whether through, any method that you want. Remember, you should have a specific purpose. You should have a target. Excuse it. If you want to collect data about health record of a patient, you already know why you're collecting it. You want to review how that patient is doing. You want to review how the patient reacts to specific drugs. You know why you're collecting the data. So now what helps you when you know the data you have is because if, for example, there are information in that data that are not appropriate, you should be able to clean it. Cleaning of the data just simply means you have to know how to remove errors. If you have missing values, you now know how to get them the values, or the values that are missing are values that might not be important, if you have to ignore them, and etc. All right. Then the data management, you have to check the data store, the structure, and maintain. And remember, like I said, we have different type of data types. So if, for example, you are collecting survey, you have to now know how to manage this survey, structure it in a way that you can now present your information and findings. All right. If you are doing direct interview, remember, interview can come in different form. You can do audio interview, and you can also do video interview. But at the same time, whatever the person or the people you're interviewing says, you have to convert that information to something meaningful and extract what you want so that you can now make use of it. All right. Now, the analysis itself is now being able to look at a particular pattern or particular trend in the way these people respond. For example, maybe you ask some 10 people how they feel walking through a particular road or a particular street, and maybe that street might have been notorious for some maybe bad reasons, and they might tell you, oh, most of the time when I walk along this particular place, I hold my bag, or I try to get someone that can protect and stuff like that, so that response will now help you to see a particular pattern or a trend and say, okay, this is what we can do to help people that pass the streets, or get the police to always be along this place, and etc. Or maybe this place is accident prone. You want to find out, how, to resolve the issues of that accident, and etc. Then, when it comes to data visualization, now, if you have your data in your files, you cannot just carry that file and go and show your board of directors and say, then this is what I collected, and they'll be looking at the file and yet it doesn't make any sense. All right. So being able to visualize that information and show them that, okay, out of the 10 people we questioned, out of our 50 staff, 20 have told us that they like coming to work in the morning, and when they come in the morning, that this is what they noticed, and etc. And we can do this to improve their, their life or their productivity whenever they are at work, because maybe some might not have been productive because maybe when they come to work, there be no lights, or maybe they like to work when you have music going on within the organization and the music motivate them and stuff. So you should be able to now visualize that information and show them the different information based on your findings, so that they don't know the data you've collected. But when you now see that visual, it now makes sense. They can now say, okay, 20% says this, 30% says that, and this is what it is, all right? And now remember, because you are working with that data, you are not making a guess, you are not making an assumption. You might think that your staffs are happy while they are not happy. But when you collect that information, you can now know that they are happy or they are not happy, all right? Now, being able to communicate your insights. All right. After you visualize that, you can now make a report and show them that, yes, this is what this shows. If you see 20% here, this is what 20% means. If you see 10% here, if you see 100, you can see this, and etc. 100% can mean that the people are not happy. 100% can mean that they are happy. I can say 100% and I don't know what it means. All right. I'm not just going to assume that because it's 100 happy people. All right. But when you are not specific and communicate your findings and tell me, okay, this 100 is showing that these people are not happy. It's not that they are happy. And this 20 shows that it's only 20 that is happy. All right. So we understand what we are visualizing, what we are seeing. Then being able to collaborate. All right. You can collaborate with different team members, business team, development team, board of directors. You have different people to collaborate with, because for an organization to function, we need to be able to, as an analyst, you need to be able to get information from every sector of that organization, all right? So that you will be able to know where the problem is. Maybe it's the supervisor that is a problem, maybe it's the line staff, maybe it's the board of directors themselves that's a problem. Maybe the supervisors and the line staff are doing their best and they are telling the directors that machine are not working properly, and they are not doing anything about the machine not working properly, but they are complaining that productivity is low and adding pressure on the staff without actually putting things in order. Definitely, the staffs are not going to perform a miracle. They are going to work with what they have been given. All right. So it's only when you come and find out, you will now know where the problem is, and you now go and tell them, board of directors, sorry, your staffs are overworked, and this is the problem. They can now resolve that issue. All right. And data governance, like I mentioned, being able to secure your data. Every organization has rules and that the use in managing and securing the data they use. All right. And this is also very, very key as an analyst to know the organization you are working with and the rules that govern their data policies, and know how to secure the information you are working with, because you are a very, very key factor to the success of that organization. All right. Because you are finding out and gaining information that a layman or a regular person will not just see. All right. You are going into the depths of the company to now say, okay, based on what we have seen, this can make this company successful, or this can make this company collapse. All right. So being able to know how to manage that information and secure it, and using the right word, privacy, because the information you collect about every individual is private. Even your hospital record is private. All right. So you need to know how to secure and keep those data private, and respect every individual regardless of what you think personally, because you might not like the way Mr. John is handling a particular situation. Doesn't mean that your own method is also right. Somebody else might come and say, no, you are the one that is wrong. All right. So you need to understand how to manage your data and information, and always keep them private. All right. So this one is also very, very important. Career opportunities for a data analyst. Like I mentioned, it covers wide range. There is a whole lot you can do as a data analyst. In fact, there is no sector you cannot work as a data analyst. You can't be a data analyst and you will not be able to find yourself somewhere. All right. So be it as a tutor, like I'm doing right now, as a reporting analyst, as a financial analyst, or as a database manager, or operational analyst, data scientist, marketing analyst, healthcare data analyst, data consultant, and just name it. In every aspect, you understand, you can find yourself, you can put yourself somewhere. And just like I mentioned, even your own daily life itself, it can even help you to plan your own daily life, plan yourself, and structure your life in a way that maybe 2 years from now, you can now gain more insight and tell yourself, oh, 10 years ago, these are the things I was doing wrong. And now that I understand that, I can now, plan and tell myself, okay, no, I wouldn't keep doing this thing again. This thing is not working. This thing is not going to get me here. Yes, consistency, they say, can be good, but sometimes if you are consistent in the wrong way, then definitely you are not going to expect change overnight. So you have to look at the consistency, what you do, and know where to change and approach to use and how to go about certain things, where you need to gain more information, and etc. All right. So you can apply your knowledge anywhere at all. All right. So as a data analyst, you don't have to worry and say, oh, because I'm a lawyer, I don't know what to do. Is a lie. Even in the law firm, in our judiciary system, they analyze data everywhere, every sector. Okay. I've used our geographical this thing as an example initially. So everywhere, there is nowhere you want to go to, even in our daily markets. You go to the markets, general markets. You can analyze information on trends of people that come into the market and how they buy things. Maybe you want to even expand the market, or know if you have to reduce the market, or know if you have to change the kind of product they sell in a particular market. All this can only be done by an analyst. All right. The market manager wouldn't know even where to start from. Okay. So where you to work shouldn't be a problem for you as a data analyst. All right. So part of the essential tools that you might need as a data analyst, part of what we you need to learn how to use. Excel is a basic essential tool, all right? And part of what we can do with Excel is the data cleaning, data exploration. We also analyze, even visualize data, write reports, data modeling, data intelligence, database and management, and also machine learning. You can do all this in Excel, all right? So, and Excel is a package that is widely used. So if you want to use Excel, there is nowhere you go that they will tell you that Excel is not Excel. Excel is a package that is widely used and the knowledge is widely applicable, just like what we have the Microsoft Word. So it's a part of the Microsoft suite application. So learning Excel will help you, and that knowledge cuts across every sector, all right? So it's easy for you to apply that knowledge. Nobody will say, oh, because you know Excel, we don't use Excel now. You have to go and learn one of that too. So Excel is a very essential tool to learn as an analyst, because most of the data you are going to collecting, you can always put them in Excel, analyze them in Excel, and transfer them back to any other system you want. All right. So it's very easy for you. So with Excel, you are definitely covered 50%. All right. So another very essential tool which we use for data visualization as well is Microsoft Power BI. Microsoft Power BI just simply says a Microsoft Power Business Intelligence tool, all right, that is also used for data visualization, data modeling, data cleaning, data integration, dashboard creation, collaboration, being able to collaborate with different applications as well, and also being able to present your report, whether you want to share it in a mobile view, tablet, or laptop. So you have different systems that you can use to relate with when it comes to Microsoft Power BI. I think even with Excel, they have the Excel for mobile phones as well, the Microsoft 365 application. So you see, it's cut across every section. So you cannot say because on my phone, I can't see the information. You can look at it and decide what you want to do in real time. All right. So everything is there, and these are part of the packages that we are going to be teaching you. These are part of the things you are going to be learning from us. These are part of the tools that we use on a daily basis as well. All right. So the free training is just to introduce you and show you what these packages are. But the paid training is now where you get the full training concerning everything you need to know about these packages. Excel has a lot of functions. Power BI has a lot of functions. These functions cannot be done within 2 hours. We cannot cover everything. Excel alone, we cannot cover it within 2 hours, not to talk of Power BI. So we're only going to just like introduce them, show you what you can do with them. But for you to now go through into what all these packages, the whole thing, there is a whole lot of things involved in all of this, because every tool has different sections to it. All right. That is what you get now when you now pay for the full training, because then you now have enough time to walk you through all these packages, through all the processes of these packages, through all the things you need to know to become a full standard data analyst. All right. Not just being an analyst, but also working as a data scientist, because being able to model data, manage databases, all right, being able to understand how this relational data works, you have to be a data scientist to appreciate that knowledge. All right. And having that knowledge have not made you not just a data analyst, but also a data scientist, because an analyst can easily visualize data, but a scientist can tell you how the data works right from the database, right from where the data is stored, and being able to bring it out, migration of that information, returning it back there without having any problem. These are part of the things you are going to learn from us. So you're not just going to be an analyst, you are going to be a data scientist. All right. So that's part of the advantage of working with Cosense. All right. And talking about database, we have structural query language, which is popularly known as SQL. All right. And this is part of what we call our data warehouse. I usually tell people that this is the container where we store our data, just how we have containers, we store water. All right. So SQL is also a database, and it's also a popular database. All right. Most organizations, learning SQL helps you to be able to, work with. In fact, there is no database today that I know that you cannot run your SQL query, all right? Even if it's not a direct SQL database. So if you have learned your structural query language database properly, you should be able to apply that knowledge even to other databases. And because of the structure and because of the way it is designed, it is easy to transfer that knowledge, all right, without stress. When you already know what you're doing, you will no longer be asking questions. This thing looks like it's not what I was taught. You can now see the relationship, all right? So data extraction, like I mentioned, data manipulation, analyzing and reporting, all right? The warehouse, like I mentioned, being able to store, because what is a warehouse? A warehouse is where we can store information, where we can store something, all right? Be it goods, information, data, all right? Integration, being able to integrate it into different sections. Like I mentioned, apart from SQL, you might have other database, but that SQL can be integrated into all these other databases. So having SQL is like having the master key, all right? You will not come out and be like, oh, I don't even know what this person is talking about. You have all the information, all right? And data security, which is always very, very key. Knowing that your data is private and knowing how to manage it is very, very important, all right? Then coming to coding, all right? So when most people hear Python, you'll be scared and be like, what am I going to? No, don't be scared. Python is not so far-fetched. It's just a language, just like you have your English language, all right? That is the way I try to tell people, all right? Python is just like a language. So, and it's not so difficult to learn because it's also English, all right? So it makes it very, very easy. It's just for you to understand how to apply that information and you get the desired results, all right? So it's also an essential tool. Now, what makes it essential, just like we have our SQL query, structural query language, and the Python language also helps you to be able to do what? Extract information, manipulate data, analyze, automate information, and even software development. For example, I might want to collect data from a particular organization, but because that organization might not be in Nigeria, the organization might have different head office. And I know that I might not be able to be sending a form to Nigeria and send another form to US and be stressing myself. I can decide to just design an app for the organization and share it with their staff, whereby everybody that key in information, regardless of where you are, I put it in a particular database and I already know what that information is. So it's easy for me to go there and extract it. You see, I've made my work easy in less than 5 minutes because I understand and I know what I want to do. And I already have the knowledge, all right? And I cannot apply it. So when I see that information, I cannot visualize it. And with Python, you can do all this in less than 1 minute. As long as you know what you're doing, you know where you're heading to, all you just need to do is to design the system and you present the results. Very, very simple. So don't look at it and say, where do I start from? Guys, it's very, very, very simple. We break all this knowledge down to the barest minimum, regardless of your field, regardless of how advanced you are in computer, we'll break it down to the barest minimum. You don't have, in fact, when you start, you'll now be wondering, so is this what they've been talking about Python? They make it look like, when you hear Python, people are doing this thing. No, but always remember that in every language, there are different sections to it, all right? So relating Python in areas of data analysis is just for you now to go a step further and tell yourself, okay, fine, I can actually do this because I've seen how simple it is, and you now continue from there, all right? So if you have your data downloaded in your system, it will be saved, your downloads, or saved somewhere, anywhere you want to save it. And when you open it, it's going to open just like mine is about to open now. So when it opens, you are going to find a file just like this, all right? So for starters, most times when you have given a task, you'll be given an instruction or what is expected from you for you to do, all right? So this is a small data set, all right? So let us look at instructions or what we've been asked to do with this particular data set, all right? So for one, they say that we should format the data by changing the appearance of the data set. That is one. Then secondly, they will say we should identify and remove any inconsistencies for further analysis, which is also very, very necessary. All right. Then we have what we say we should calculate. They ask us to do a bit of a calculation. Then they say we should also do a bit of a visual, all right, to show us specific information, all right. So this is what they want us to do. So what we are going to do is after each instructions, we are going to come back and check the instructions and say, okay, we are done, all right. So they say we should change the appearance and make this data look better, all right. Just 1-2 step. So let's see, how is our data? Our data is not looking very neat. It's not looking very organized. It's just there. All right. So let's expand our data and see what we have before we go on. So for us to expand our data, we have different cells. We have rows and we have what we call columns. This alphabetical section here are what we call the columns. And this numeric sections here are what we call the rows in our Excel sheet. All right. So for our column, we're going to highlight the first one. All right, and you can see as I highlighted it, the color changed. Now I'm going to hold down my shift key and direction key. The shift and direction towards the right, I'm going to highlight the information we have. All right, so what I want to do is to expand it. All right, I'm using the local method because I don't want to walk too fast. All right, and I don't want to, like I mentioned, make us feel confused. So I'm going to go gradually, the simple, the easiest method possible. So when you have highlighted your data set, we want to expand it. You can see a small green dot at the top of our highlight. We just put our mouse there. You can see a darker arrow showing us 2 directions. We double click and the data has changed. It's expanded. So now you can notice that all the right subs written, we can see them clearly, unlike before, all right? And all the cells, information in the cells are also showing, unlike before that they look a bit clustered. So, but this is still not looking beautiful. This is not still looking, that is still just looking a bit ordinary, all right? So I will still do a bit of adjustment here. I want my cells to be a bit spacious for personal reasons. So I can also do a little adjustment on my own, all right? So I think for now, I'm okay with this, all right? So because I want you guys to see what I'm doing clearly, that's why I'm trying to just adjust it so that everything will show, let it not look like I'm performing some magic. So for starters, I will highlight my header because I think it still looks a bit ordinary. I want to improve how it looks. Remember, the first step I did was to highlight the column, but this time around I'm highlighting only a single row, and that is the row 1. And I'll hold down my shift key like we did before and highlight it completely to where the word stops. All right. So like I said, I want to beautify this. I don't like the way it looks. Firstly, I will change that font. I want to use a different font and I'll adjust the size. Oh no. All right, I'll add a bit of a color to this, a very light shade just to highlight it. All right. Then I'll add what we call a filter. I'll add a filter. What I'll do with this filter is to help me to be able to see the information properly. All right. I'll show you what the filter does. So now that we have this, let's click outside so we can see, click anywhere. So you can see now our data looks a bit different. It's no longer looking ordinary like it's where initially. Abby is looking a bit more colorful now, right? Isn't it? Are you there?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
All right. All right, good. So I think for now we have expanded our data and we've added, it looks a bit more colorful now, all right? So what we do with this filter is that this will help us to gain more information on each of the rows that we have, all right? So we can now click on this and see how many states, and we can now say, okay, maybe if something is missing, we can now see it with ease. We don't have to scroll from each row and be coming down. You can see we have quite a number of rows, all right? So now this makes it easy for us to visualize the information within the data. We can see how many years, started from 2022 to 2025, very, very simple. This was something that we couldn't see before, all right? You can see the quarters, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see how simple it is now. With this, we can easily sort our data and see information without going through any long process. So we can comfortably come back here and say for this cell, we can now highlight it as green and say we are done with that. We are identify and remove any consistency. So let's go back and see if we have any consistency. All right. So I think one major thing I've noticed within our data set is that the names, they are not looking well organized. So I think we should do something to that. So I think that is one major inconsistency. All right. So how do we get these names to be looking organized? Remember, these are states, and in our normal English, we don't write states names. You don't write your names with small letters. You don't start any name. A noun, we know what a noun. Even noun with small letters. Nouns are usually we usually write nouns with capital letter. We usually start noun with capital letter. All right. So let us get that done. And how to do that? We insert a new cell that we are going to use for our formula to get that process done. All right. So for Excel, for every function we are going to do with Excel, we have a formula we make use of. And that formula, like what we use to call up any formula, we use the equal to sign to call up any formula. All right. So wherever we have a formula, I want to make use of the formula. You click the equal to sign, Excel automatically knows that you want to make use of a formula. All right. So what's the formula I want to make use of? Before I start the formula, I'll put up my equal to sign. And the formula I want to make use of is the formula we call a proper function. All right. So what a proper function does is that it corrects any spelling error, especially when it comes to name. All right. So you type proper, you can see the function proper have appeared. You double click on it. Remember, you double click on it and you highlight the information you want to make proper in the particular cell. Now, because of the Excel memory, Excel already knows. All right. I don't have to highlight everything. When I highlight this particular row, I put my enter, automatically Excel has captured all this information here, but you cannot see it now because it is somewhere. But the memory have captured it under that formula that I just inserted. So if I click on this green extra dots down here, I double click on it, it's going to bring out all the hidden those things that are hidden. All right. Remember, I said that the formula has captured it, but it's hidden. So it wants to know if you want to continue the process or not. So if you don't want to continue, you can go back. If you want to continue, you now allow it to continue by filling it down. So automatically, if you see here, all our states have now been written properly. All right, except for those that are within what is it called? Within a bracket, okay, because they're in a bracket. So we are going to correct that. But before we correct that, let us capture our data and transfer that information. All right. So we can also do this by copying this information. Control C. But okay, let me do this so that we don't have to repeat this. Let me just copy this and transfer it to, because this is going to make it easy for us. All right. So let's just copy this. Now, whenever you are copying a formula in Excel, it's always good to take note of this function. Remember, if you copy a formula and let us say you are performing a mathematical function, you say 1 + 1 is equal to 2. If you delete the 1 + 1 or the 1 that you added to 1, that 2 will no longer be 2 because it's a formula. You said 1 + 1 is equal to 2. So if you delete 1, it will now be 0 + 1, and 0 + 1 cannot be 2. All right. So whenever you are copying a formula and you want to transfer that information, you are going to paste it as value because you don't want to copy the formula. You don't want to retain the formula. So you are pasting it as value because you want your value to change. All right. So what do I mean by that? Remember, you cannot have two states. We want to correct one, all right? So we are going to delete this. So if you don't paste it as value, you are only going to copy the formula. And when you delete that formula, it's going to affect the primary data. So because we pasted as value, we have automatically converted that data. It's no longer under the formula, all right? So what next? Let us make a correction to this FCT. To do that is very simple. We just highlight the cell. Since the FCT is not much, and that is the only information we need to change, we just use what we call find and replace and do that with ease. All right, we don't have to go too far. Remember, the F is a capital, the C and T is a small letter. So let's just run that. Find and replace, come to replace value. And which value are we looking for? Capital F, small letter C and T. I want to replace them with capital F, C, and T. All right. So just click on this, replace all. And yes, you've replaced all 9. So anywhere you have that FCT now, if you look at the drop down, you can see all is a capital. We don't have any differences, and that is it. So with ease, we have done that. All right. So we can also look and see if we have any consistency. If there is none, we can now come back and say instruction 2 is also done by adding, taking it green. It's always good to keep track of your progress so that you don't forget what you are doing. All right. So we have some missing information here, and they've given us a guide by telling us we should try and find those missing information. All right. So for starters, they say we should get what we call total revenue. And from our maths, we already know what total revenue is. Total revenue has to deal with the price of a product and the total units sold. Because we know if you have the price and the total units sold, that is what is going to give you the amount of that product that has been sold, the revenue. All right. So if a bag of rice is 100 naira and you have 1,000 bags, you have to times 1,000. 100 naira times 1,000 to give you the total value of all you have. All right. So what are we going to calculate here? We don't need a formula to do this because this is a direct calculation. So once we get the total revenue, so our units sold is this. Sorry. So put sign and say the total revenue, which is units sold multiplied by what are we multiplying it by? Our units sold, and voila. And just like we said, Excel already remembers. All you need to do is to fill down. All right. And that is the value for each quarter that have been sold. All right. For each quarter sold, because each quarter you have different units sold. So based on those quarters and the units sold for those quarters, we'll calculate the total revenue separately for each and every one of them. All right. Now, let's do this. We have a bit of a formula here. We have a percentage discount and a profit margin of supposedly 28%. But these values are not proper. They are not in percentage. And we know how to calculate our percentage in mathematics. All right. We times by 1/100. All right. So for this one, it's very simple. This has already been divided. So all we need to do is to convert this column to percent. Now, to do that is simple in Excel. You click on the percentage sign and voila, that value has been converted with ease. All right. But for this one, we have to convert directly. So, okay, let's just do this here. Let's add a new column. So we're just going to perform a bit of a calculation. And why we need this value is because it's going to help us. Let me copy this. I only have to retype it later. That is why I'm copying it. All right, good. So what do I need to do here? I also have to add my equal to sign and divide this by 100 and divide by 100 and enter. Good. So I've converted this, but it's still not in percentage. It's still giving us in decimal form. So I'll copy this before converting it, paste as value because of our formula. Excuse me, my mouse is misbehaving. All right. Good. So now I can comfortably delete this. All right. And now we can convert this just like we did before. And now it's giving us our actual 28%. I hope that was easy to follow, right? Was that easy to follow? Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
Can you guys hear me? All right, all right. So I said, hope that was easy to follow now. That was very, very easy to follow.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so now the advantage of this is because we'll be needing to calculate use this value to get our estimated profit. All right, so you already have discount, profit margin. So once we get to what we call estimated profit. And how do we get estimated profit? Because it's estimated, all right, what we are going to do is we are going to now calculate what the total revenue is multiplied by the profit margin. Because remember, they said it is estimated, all right? So that is a direct calculation as well. So we do our total revenue and you multiply it by the percentage of what the estimated profit margin should be, which is why you needed this calculation, all right? And that is supposed to be 28%. And remember, you are doing this for all the different quarters based on how they have been recorded, all right? And you fill down. Naturally, Excel already retains the formula and it makes it, okay? So, why we are not adding any Naira sign again here is because we already have it at the top, all right? Good. But for this percentage, it is important to note the conversion, all right? Because if you don't know the conversion and the percentage sign here already covers that, the 0.14 would have still worked, or the 14. But when you are performing the calculation, because what I did was to reduce the process of that calculation, I wouldn't need to be timesing and dividing. All right, so I've just done that and it's easy for me to do a direct calculation, okay? All right, so for the second part, which is the revenue after discounts, I think that also shows that we already have the total revenue, but after discounts, that means they gave us a discount. So how are we going to get the revenue after discount? Remember, for every quarter, the discount is different, all right? So let's now look at it based on how they represent themselves, okay? So we are going to be looking at the total revenue, and you want to look after discount, right? So we'll be looking at the multiplication of that information into 1 minus our discount, which is 14%. All right, good. And we now fill down again. So you can easily come back here and repeat this to keep track of what we are doing. Now, all right, we have also done this. So what is remaining is to transfer our data into Power BI and then do the visualization of the charts showing us the calculations and what we need to do. All right. So I have to save this to get that done. So you can see how easy it is. Remember, I have to save this so I will get that done. I don't know. Do we have Power BI? If you need the link, you can also download Power BI by scanning the QR code. and getting the Power BI and installing it. So you can also practice later while I just walk you through the process and trying to keep it very, very, very simple. All right. If you have installed your Power BI, it's going to open like this. I opened mine a bit earlier because it takes some time to load. So if it's just taking time, don't panic. It's normal. It's a big application, so it's not expected to. It takes time to come up. Like we mentioned earlier, Power BI has a whole lot of integration. So you can see even from your welcome screen, it's already showing you a bit of those integration, SQL Server, Excel, OneLake catalog, and etc. All right, and even get extra data source. So just from the opening page, you can tell that you can get extra connection. All right. Now, because we are creating a blank report, you just click on, we are starting a new report, click on blank report, all right? And it gives us our Canvas interface, all right? So this is where we build our dashboard and visualization, all right? Now, but we have to get in the data that I want to visualize. Remember the instruction I was given, which is show particular revenue by states and show estimated profit also by states. All right. So we are going to get our data from Excel because it's an Excel file, and you check where you saved yours. Mine is on my dashboard. So I'm just going to search for the name of the file. And click on open. Now all right. Remember, we have the instruction page where we are highlighting the things we have been doing and the actual data that we need for the visualization. So all you need to do is to select the data. You don't need the instruction, even though the instruction is also data, but that is not part of what we want to analyze, Abby. So we are going to leave that and carry the actual information that we need. And we just click on load and let it load. All right. So the instruction is just to guide us. Since that is not our data, we are not going to collect that information. Okay. And once it's done, it's going to pop up in our data area. Oh, good. You can see the interface. We have what we call the data area. We have the visuals, the visualization. This is where we have the different charts that we are going to be using for our data visualization. And we have our ribbon where we have extra information that if you want to, like we mentioned, other integration, other functions that I want to do, but we cannot go into all this just in today's class. You can see we have what we can add more information. We mentioned data modeling, and optimize this in just today's class. All right, we're only going to just show you what you can do. To get full access is only when you now come for the full training. So our data is now loaded. You can see it in our data area, all the information we have within the Excel file, what we've calculated, the years and etc. They are all popped up neatly here. And we can now start building our visual. Remember, they gave us specific instructions. So let's just keep it to our instructions, all right, and make it very, very simple and precise. Okay, so for starters, we want to show the total revenue by state, all right, and how each state are performed. Okay, so let's chart. You select a particular chart, it's going to pop up in the canvas area. Then you are going to highlight the information. So we want to get states and then total revenue. So by state and total revenue. So, yep. Moving this to one corner for now. All right. Then we also want to show estimated profit by state. Let me show a bar chart and add that. States estimated profits. So by each state, estimated profits. All right. So we have this. Don't worry about the size. You are going to edit and adjust all this. So you see how it's done. So I'm going to add a bit of scorecards as well. So, oh, no. So sorry. I changed the information without changing the charts. So I'm going to add a bit of a scorecard, and I'm going to add, I'm going to show the total revenue. All right. I'll add another card by clicking on the charts, and I'm also going to show that estimated profits all in one card. And I'm also going to add a slicer. All right. Anything that is going to help me navigate, and I'm going to show the total states. So I think the information I have here is enough. It's now left for me to sort them out. So let me get this to one side. And now let us edit this. Let me start with the first one. Let me expand this so we can see it clearly. All right. So you are going to be careful with your charts and looking at the canvas area. If you notice just now, as I'm clicking on every information here, you can see a small line that is being highlighted, showing me the area of that particular chart and where that chart stands. So those lines are what guides you, okay? So that you don't end up going off the canvas area. Because if you put any information outside this canvas area, that means in your presentation, nobody's going to see or know that information, all right? So we'll try as much as possible to limit dragging information out of the canvas area and keeping your chart simple, all right? So what we need to do is to edit this chart, okay? All right, so for starters, let us get our charts organized. You can see the different axes and the values as well. We can decide to remove the value if you feel you don't need it. But if it's important, you can now adjust it and adjust the visual so that your board members can see it. Make the text bold and can also adjust the size in a way that it's more, compact. All right. Then for the title, you can remove that because it's already written boldly. All right. So we can do the same for the next one. We don't need this for the values. Adjust the size. Good. Make it bold. Make it darker so we can see it clearly and adjust the size because of where it is. For the title, we don't need it. All right. Makes our chart cleaner. All right. And which other information do we need? We can edit this. Excuse me. Instead of sum, let's make it this. Adjust it to normal. Change the writing size. Make it bold. Also make it darker. And then reduce it so it doesn't look too big. It's there, but it shouldn't be shouting. All right. Estimated profits by states. So that the information we want to view will make that one bold. All right. So yeah. So we can now add a bit of an effect to this. First of all, you can add a border. You can also add a shadow. You can also make it look a bit unique. Let it pop out. All this process are just little things you can do to give your chart an effect. when you look at the charts, it will now look like, oh wow, this thing looks nice. Now we can actually add a bit of a background. Let's use a different color. These are our bars down. Let me see. Let's use something a bit lighter shade. Okay, this will go. This looks better. Be careful not to use too much color. All right, and be careful to keep your charts very, very, very simple. All right. So I think now it's done for the first charts. You can now do the same for the second one. Let's adjust the sizes because we don't need this. This doesn't need to be big. So just hold very simple information. Adjust the size by just holding, dragging, and moving our information. Good. It's within the same size. So let's expand this view. Don't worry. The information that is not showing clearly, we are going. So I want this to be a bit bigger because of the information that is on it. I want them to touch. All right, I think this will do. Good. So now let's adjust this. It's not looking so clear as well. So let us go and edit and make them look better. All right. So we can start with the legends, the text. Remember, get the right fonts and make them bold and make them darker so they will pop out. All right. Even if you adjust the size now, or you can still see, it still looks better, but don't make it look too clustered. All right. Title. Okay. You can still bring this down a bit. Or I remove this title. You already know that these are states, so yeah, syntax is fine. Details. So outside, you can change the value. Instead of adding percentage, okay, I think this is better. You can now adjust the value. I think this looks better. You can now see it's, so yeah, looking at the title, instead of using sum, just leave that at total. Adjust it as well. Normal. Use a regular font. Make it bold, black. Then the size. All right. So you can add a bit of effect as well. Before we do that, let's add borders so that it will stand out. Add some corners, also make it look unique. Can also add a bit of an effect, shadow, make it pop out separately. Now, all right, we can add a bit of a background too. Looking at the chart, remember we said use simple colors. So we have blue already. So let's use a lighter shade of blue. Since it's a different chart, but not very dark, just light. To keep it very simple. So we can always adjust this, it's covering it. So you can see that this one, sorry, I want this to be here. So this one should be here. All right. This should be here. So this helps us to see our data or see more information about our data. All right. Adjust it and put it where it should be. Good. So can also do the same. Adjust the slides. All right, I think that is fine. Adjust the text size, make it bold, and also darker so that it will pop out, doesn't look dim. Okay, yeah, I adjusted that. Don't need background, you don't need that. So for the values, do the same. Keeping it simple, always keeping it simple. Don't make it look too shouty. I'm adjusting the size so we're able to capture more information and make it very, very neat. All right. So we can also add the borders and shadow before we add the background. Let's also add a bit of corners, just a little. And we can also use the same background we used, adjust the transparency. All right, I think we are close. So keep it very, very, very simple. Good. Yeah, you can see we are already looking nice, but we are not there yet. Our cards, let's adjust this before we do that properly. Okay. All right. So can also adjust them. You can adjust everything, every information you have. So let's see. We don't have to do so much here. We just need to add a bit of an effect and if possible, change the fonts. Visual borders, I think I would like to have that. Rounded corners. Let it stand out completely. Yeah. Okay, no, it's gonna affect that thing. Is it okay? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's the same. All right. All right. Mm. I remove this. And add, can remove. Let me adjust this. All right. So this gives you more effects. I need to edit the values. So okay. I'm not applying the formats. I'm going to edit the values. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, I was on the other one. A little bit. 13, that's fine. So adjusting the size so that the value will show properly. All right. So this is just a simple dashboard. I'm just trying to keep it brief. Also looking at time. So now what this helps us to do now is that we can basically view each state independently and see how each state performs based on the total revenue they had and the estimated profit. All right. And we can easily see how each state performed, even though we are seeing the general information and all a billion looking so complex. By coming here and selecting for each state, and this will show you what happened and how Abuja performed. And you can see the total for Abuja and everything, exact value. You can do the same, and you can now see the values within this card in terms of estimated profit and total revenue. All right, and do the same for Akwa Ibom and every state individually. You can now see how well they performed, the exact value they have. All right. There are no more guessing. Well, this is just what they wanted us to see, the estimated profit by each state and the total revenue by each state. So this is how you easily represent this information. All right. So I believe that was insightful. I just try to keep it very, very, very simple. And with this, you can now go to your director or your board members or your state's internal revenue and tell them that, okay, based on what we've seen in terms of states and profits and how these states have performed over the year, this is what you've seen, this is what you can, say, and you can see the different percentage in terms of revenue that these states have made. All right? I think that brings us to the end of this training.